I got Claire and Tim here. Should we get ready to rumble, or do you think they're going to?
I'm tense.
I literally, I'm getting texts. I'm getting texts from people who say, I don't know if I can watch tonight. What is going on?
I just think, if you care deeply about this country and you see where we are at this moment in history, you realize that there's so much at stake. And it's very rare in a campaign that you have moments like this that can, in fact, now, if everyone does as expected, if Biden does well and Trump is Trump, I'm not sure it moves anything significantly, but the potential to change, if Biden were to have a very bad night or if Trump were to have a very bad night.
And they know it, right?
Yeah, they know it. You think we're tense. Imagine how they feel.
Well, what is it like? I mean, it was a little different when you're in a primary debate, but you lived through that with Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
What is that day like? What's today like, you imagine, for these campaigns?
It's nervous day of for people who are like on the normal spectrum of, psychotherapy. I don't know. It seems like Donald Trump's.
This is a good job.
Yeah, it seems like Donald Trump's watching Fox News and trashing it on social media. So I don't know what's in Donald Trump's head, what he's doing today. But for the rest of us, it is anxious, right? There's a lot of buildup. The thing isn't until 9 o'clock. You can only do so much prep on the day of. You feel over-prepped by the time you get to the day of. I had candidates wanted to go to a movie that day, which made a lot of sense. Did you do that?
I went to a movie.
Get your mind clear.
Debates,
That makes sense to me. You want to clear your mind.
Could you pay attention to the movie?
Oh, yeah. Now you could.
You want to be distracted. You want to have your mind cleared. So I think that, and why I think today feels so anxious is we can just be honest. The stakes of it are unbelievably high. We've never had a debate where one of the two candidates attempted a coup during the last election. And then the other candidate, Joe Biden, for all of his strengths, there's some concerns. This isn't really his top strength. He's done pretty good at debates in the past, but, when you see him out on the stages, he was good at the State of the Union, but sometimes he's a little rickety. And so I think that adds to people's anxiousness.
He's done like 40 debates, literally, according to the Wall Street Journal, 40 debates, including the vice presidential debates when he was running with Barack Obama. Does practice help?
I think it does help because you have to prepare for a debate with Donald Trump much differently. I mean, if you compare the debates early in Joe Biden's career, Joe Biden didn't really have a serious opponent in most of his Senate races. So let's just wipe all. If you don't have a serious opponent, it's kind of fun to debate.
I did a Delaware campaign in 2004. It's a little bit different animal. The Delaware debates, you're greeting each other afterwards. You're going to hang out.
But this is more like mud wrestling.
Yeah.
This is really more. He's got to be willing to go down to a level that it's not easy for him to do because he really feels strongly about the dignity of the office. But I think he knows he has to get down there and mix it up with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be all darkness and insults and all the things that Joe Biden isn't. But if Joe Biden doesn't show strength, more importantly than what he says, is that he shows strength while he's saying it.
I think there's a difference, though, between, if you want to talk about, I don't necessarily say getting in the mud, but being tough and going to places that are maybe a lower common denominator. There's offense and there's defense, right? Defense is, he says something about Hunter Biden. We know how Joe Biden is going to respond to that. But does he come in and does he say, you are a liar. You lied about 2020. Are you willing to say you lost in 2020? I won, you lost, stop now.
I hope so. Or you're a liar or you're a loser. You're a sore loser. I think that's a good way to get under Donald Trump's skin. That's part of the reason why he did the big lies, because he can't accept in his ego that he lost. And so I think going right at him on that is maybe even more inflammatory than calling him a liar. I think maybe Donald Trump knows and allows to be a liar. So I think that Joe Biden has to go at him head on. I agree with Claire. Strength in this situation is very important. The defensiveness, sitting presidents and all politicians, Jeb, this was a problem for Jeb. You want to defend every point, and especially if a guy like Donald Trump who's coming rapid fire with lies and he's defaming you. You want to defend everything. You can't do that. You have to defend a few key points and pivot back to going on offense. And I think that is, I hope, what he's been prepping this week.
Maybe there's such a thing as knowing too much. But Claire, there's a lot of stuff that happens around debate day, right? For example, the Biden campaign is launching Project 2025. It's a website where they talk about what they see as Donald Trump's extreme agenda. They say Project 2025 threatens reproductive freedom, Social Security, could result in a weaponized DOJ, taxes for the wealthy being cut. We know Biden wants to draw contrast, but let me play devil's advocate. People know who Donald Trump is. They know he's a convicted felon, and he's still running neck and neck with Joe Biden. So is that the best use of their strategic time and money?
Well, I think it's important to have that there so people can go and look in black and white. It'll be a good reference point for people to go and see what the people around Trump are planning. I don't think people realize what Project 2025 actually contains. It's 900 pages. It's pretty specific. And these are the Trump people that are getting ready for a second term, including blowing up something that really separates us from many countries. And that is, we don't let government be run by political parties. We have what's called civil servants, and they have certain protections from politics. That's one of the most important things he wants to wipe out. Take out professionalism in government and just put in party hacks from top to bottom, like old-time Tammany Hall. That's what Donald Trump sees as a reform of our government. And, you know, I got to tell you, on the debate tonight, one thing that really worries me is that CNN has said the moderators aren't going to fact check. So that's another challenge for Biden.
It's a tough thing to do.
It is a tough thing to do, but if they don't do any of it, that means Biden has to do all of it, which makes his job even harder.
Is it even possible to fact check Donald Trump in real time?
No, and I wouldn't. If I was the president, I'd be thinking there's some things you have to fact check,
right,
about the fact the economy's getting better, the fact that crime is down, the fact that border crossings are down, right? Like on those key points. But if Donald Trump is just doing a fire hose of lies, he can't be, the real-time fact checker giving him Pinocchios up there on stage, right? So he's got to think about what are those things that he has to make sure to correct. And then what are the things he's got to educate the audience on about Trump? Because I do kind of disagree with your devil's advocate point. There's a lot of stuff about Trump that people don't know or have forgotten. They need to be reminded. And if you look at the polls, Biden is doing the best with the people who do know a lot about Donald Trump, right? And who are paying attention, who are watching the news the day of the debate because they're excited about it. He's got to get to the people that haven't been paying that close of attention the last 3 years. And that includes reminding them of some things that might be kind of obvious to us.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.